everybody, and welcome to another episode of Adventures with Andi. Now, if you remember when we dyed the sparkly iceberg yarn, we were surprised because we were using all blue food coloring dyes. We were surprised that one of them on our yarn mop was purple, and that we had a little bit of breaking and we had some pink show up. In the comments on that video, somebody let me know that Wilton's Icing Gel Delphinium Blue will break. And I thought, well, I'm gonna have to try to do that on purpose now, aren't I? So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna see if we can break Wilton's Delphinium Blue, much like the way that we have broken Wilton's Violet before.
So you're not making soup?
No.
No?
I'm not making
I'll let
soup.
October know that you're not making soup.
October is our tripod foster cat, and she likes her soupy cat food. She calls it soup, and she eats like, what, 5
a day?
5 containers of it a day, which is good because she needs to eat. So we are going to be using Wilton's Icing Gel Delphinium Blue and a skein of Dyer Supplier's Superwash Sport Merino, which is 100% Superwash Merino.
She does not have the label hidden back here.
I totally have the label hidden back here. Superwash Sport Merino. Okay. Totally. Y'all know me. You know I can't remember things. My memory is a sieve full of holes, retains very little. Okay, we are going to be using Dyer Supplier Superwash Sport Merino, which is 100 grams and approximately 328 yards of Superwash Merino wool. We are not going to be using this particular skein though. Just got this out so y'all can see. This is it. I've actually got a skein of this that I've already added additional figure 8 ties to, and our silicone zip ties, and it's over in this container where it's been soaking for about 20-25 minutes. We don't have a yarn mop today, but if we need one, I've got some mini skeins over there as well. You also might notice that we have neither the crock pot nor the hot plate out. We just have our stock pot here. But look, we have a new addition. We've got our electric kettle, so we're going to heat up water in the electric kettle and we're going to put it in the stock pot because that gives me more room to manipulate the yarn than what I would have in the crock pot. The crock pot's just a little bit small for this kind of thing. For our acid today, we're going to be using citric acid, but we're not going to put that in to start with. We're going to wait until after we've actually dyed the yarn, and then we'll add the acid in. The reason being that we don't want all of the blue to grab really fast. Reds will strike the yarn faster than blue, and that's what we're wanting to try to do. But if we add in an acid component, then all of the dye is going to strike faster, and that could keep us from breaking the yarn. If I am remembering correctly. I always get this wrong.
So we'll find out, won't we?
We're going to find out. I can never remember. I have already mixed up the dye.
Yes.
Check me out, y'all. You don't have to sit and watch me do this. I thought I had. Check me out playing it and stuff.
And now she trips and spills it everywhere.
I have to start over again.
Yep.
I would so do that. All right, y'all come on in and we will get to dyeing this yarn. Now this water in here is hot, not boiling. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add our dye in. And this is just about a 1/4 teaspoon of the Wilton's Icing Gel Delphinium Blue. And if you look, you can actually kind of see in the pot how it looks purple. It's blue here, but it looks purple. And I know it doesn't look like a whole lot of dye here. Hopefully it's gonna be enough. Okay. And I'm gonna add, I just finished boiling this water. As you can tap in the steam. Put that in there just to bring us up to a good water level. Get our yarn. Just Wringing out the excess, and I'm going to go ahead and dip this in. We're going to dip it in a little at a time and then bring it out and back in a little bit and bring it out. Okay, so. And when we pull it out, we're letting the dye drip back off. So we'll leave some, but not all of it. And let me just check to see what our dye bath color is. It's still pretty blue. It's a little harder, I guess, to tell on this one when it's broken than it is with the Wiltons. I mean, than it is with the violet.
Do you think that's because the color difference is smaller?
Well, in the dye bath looks blue, whereas with the Wilton's violet, the dye bath looks purple. Until you've exhausted all of the red. In here, yeah, we're down to blue now, looks like, as far as I can tell. But see, even these places where I had dipped before and it looked blue, now it's showing up pink. So it's definitely it's looking blue here at the top to me now. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the rest of the way and hope that what we get at this top is blue, and we'll see if we have actually broken this. All right, I guess we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some citric acid in and let this blue strike, since the whole skein's in there now. And I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of citric acid. I'm still getting used to how much citric acid to use because I haven't used it very much. So hopefully that's an appropriate amount. Well, we got some breaking, it looks like. Maybe. All right, I'm gonna put the lid on this. We will be back to check on it after it's cooled off, probably in the morning, because it's a little late tonight. All right, so let me show you what we ended up with.
Is it yarn?
It is yarn. It started out yarn, it's still yarn. It broke. It did break, but it didn't break the way that we expected. You normally when you break it, you expect it to break base color mostly at the bottom and then up to the blue at the top, or whatever the taking longer to strike is. But what we got here is it broke throughout. So we've got a mix of purple and blue all throughout, and a little bit of pink, pale pink, all throughout the skein. I'm not exactly sure why, but I did go back and I watched rewatched for like the umpteenth time Rebecca at Kim Knits videos on breaking food coloring. Okay, she normally uses a non-superwash yarn. This is superwash yarn. And she normally uses a little bit of acid. Not really high, but I think she does like 2 tablespoons in 8 cups of water, something like that, so that the reds strike faster than the blues, but that, you know, the reds do start striking. But she's using non-superwash, and we're using superwash where dye does start to strike faster, which is why we had some of that color striking first to begin with. So I went out and I also checked the forums everywhere, and from what I read, if you're using superwash, you don't want to add acid, because adding the little bit of acid is just to get the reds to strike, you know, so that you're not having a slow strike. But you don't want everything to strike really fast. So I am a little bit perplexed and confused, but I'm not going to give up yet, because we did actually get it to break. We just didn't get it to break the way we expected. So I'm going to move this yarn, which is actually very heavy to hold like this for long periods. I'm going to move it over to the crock pot with half of the water that's in this stock pot. Now, Chad has already very kindly tested the pH of this dye bath. And what did it come out to, Chad?
2.94.
So it's acidic. It's definitely acidic. I am going to transfer half of this over to the crock pot with our first skein of yarn. And then I'm going to heat up some more water because we also need this to be hot again. And I don't want to get the hot plate out right now because we got thunderstorms rolling in. So heat up enough water using the electric kettle to get this dye bath up here again. And then I'm going to use more of the Delphinium Blue. You know, if you notice our yarn over here, the colors that we got, these are really pale. And remember, it's darker when it's wet than it will be when it's dry. So that was the other thing I saw on videos and forums, is that I only used a 1/4 teaspoon, and that's probably a lot less than what we needed for our 100 grams of yarn. So I'm going to double that to a 1/2 teaspoon, and I am going to use this skein of Dyer Supplier Baby's Breath non-superwash fingering. It's 100% merino wool. It's non-superwash. 410 yards, 100 gram skein. And we're going to see if it breaks the Delphinium Blue more like what we would expect. I had intended this to be a dye one skein video, because I know I've been dyeing a lot of skeins lately, y'all, and the videos are getting kind of long because of it. But, you know, circumstances just conspire against me. And I am determined and stubborn, and I want to see if I can get this to break the way that we expected. We know it'll break. We've seen that. Now we just want to see if we can dial in to get it to break the way we want it to. All right, so all right, thunderstorm. Chad's actually excited because if we haven't aired that video yet, he's got some dye, some yarn outside for a dye experiment he wanted to try, and he needs the rain for it to work. Chad?
Yes?
What is the pH on our dye bath now after having taken out 10 cups of water and adding in 2 liters of hot water?
It's gone up to 4.2.
Okay, so still acidic, but not really. Y'all are just gonna have to live with that. It's gonna be doing this for a while. So it's still acidic, but it's not as acidic, and we're gonna go with that. The water it's not boiling, but it's definitely hot. Because we had cold water, we added a bunch of boiling water to it. So it's fine, it's a good temperature, I think, to try this. I've got our Delphinium Blue mixed up, a 1/2 teaspoon, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour it in.
Looks much darker in there.
Yeah, this is significantly darker than our first one, if y'all remember. It's been a day for us, but for you it's probably been like, what, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how I edit the video. All right.
Feel free to rewind.
Yeah, feel free to rewind. We've got some patches on this yarn that aren't as saturated as the others. That's fine. Another way to try breaking food coloring is to do it with dry yarn anyway. Just the wet yarn is easier to get it into the dye bath. We'll move
done with this?
Yes, I am done with the tub. Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, here we go. Gonna give this a shot.
Now would be the time for a thunder strike.
No, it would not. I dropped all of this yarn. I need to be far more careful about agitating this, don't I, y'all? Oh my God, I just realized what I was doing. This is non-superwash, and if I agitate this too much, I could felt it. I completely forgot about that. I'm so used to working with superwash. Well, we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that's a thing to be careful about. Oh, just watching that wick up. That's so cool. You see that, Chad?
Allow me to come to this side.
You see that wicking up?
Yep.
I don't know
First
how well y'all can see it, but yeah.
First the light blue, and then it grows darker as it pulls up the other pigments.
Let's take a look and see what our color looks like now. No, there's still a lot of red left in that.
That's some dark blue.
That is. It's getting lighter. We still have a lot of red in there, but it's definitely getting lighter. Patience, Andi, patience. Be patient.
Not your strong suit?
No, it's not. Chad knows me. Patience is not my strong suit. Still looks like there's some blue in there to me, or maybe it's some yellow, because that's looking more of a teal than just a plain blue, at least to me. But
it's definitely different from what it was before.
But up here at the top, If I dip it in, all we're getting is blue, which would suggest to me that there's no red left, you know?
Did you pull out all the red?
That's the plan. And if it is yellow in there, then that's not going to strike very fast. We're getting closer, I think. So yes, y'all, when you buy yarn that's been hand dyed and stuff, and it costs a little bit more, this is why. It takes time. Lots and lots of time.
And your knowledge.
And lots of practice. I mean, Rebecca always says in her videos, remember, it took her years. It took her a long time to perfect her broken violet colorway. See, it's still, it looks, you know, it's not just that light blue. But then I don't know with this being
Twice as dense.
well,
concentrated.
it's also that it's delphinium and not violet, so I don't know what color it ends up with in the end. Well, I mean, we're getting just blue up at the top now. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in and hope that we don't end up with just, you know, a purple gradient, but so far it's looking really pretty.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is how much color is left in our dye bath. It's not just the plain blue that we would normally expect, but that's with breaking Wilton's violets, so I don't know if there's any red or yellow or what's in here, but yeah, I'm not gonna put that in there.
Reintroduce some red.
Let's not do that. We are just gonna leave this like this. I am going to put the lid on it, and we're gonna unplug everything and go inside to console the cats about the storm. All right, so it is the next day, and our dye bath has not exhausted. It's like the blue hasn't even budged. Looking at our skein, I mean, we broke it, we broke the color, but our blue just really is not wanting to strike, as you can see. We got some pink, we got some gray. We got a whole lot of dyes still left in that dye bath. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some more citric acid to this. It's a half a teaspoon. Which will hopefully be enough. Ah! I made a mess again. Oh, because of course I did. Again. Y'all have met me. You know I make a mess. Let's see. You seen any change yet? Got this all over my leg. See, look. Spill it everywhere. Oh, I am just chaos in the human form, aren't I? Put this down real quick. You know what? It might be unnecessary, but I don't think it's going to hurt the yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and add another ½ teaspoon of the citric acid. I mean, we know that Kool-Aid has a lot of citric acid in it, so this should be fine. I just really want to make sure that we get this blue exhausting. Because that is quite a lot of water. Quite a lot of liquid in our dye bath, isn't it? Where are you at, my zip tie? There you are. Lift this up again. I just want to make sure I've got that well distributed. And now at this point, obviously, our dye bath is cold. So, it's hot and very humid. It is muggy and steamy outside. Not gonna be quite as hot today as it was yesterday because of last night's thunderstorm, but still pretty hot. And so I'm gonna take this outside and set it on the deck at least until today's thunderstorms start, which right now the forecast is saying about 3 o'clock. So that should give this some time to at least get a little bit warmer. Obviously I'm gonna have to eventually heat set it in the crock pot, but I'm hoping that gives it a little bit of heat so that between that and the additional citric acid, we can get that blue dye into this yarn, all right? Alright, so it's been a couple of days. I did end up adding another ½ teaspoon of citric acid because the blue was not wanting to exhaust, but let's take a look. And yeah, our dye bath it's essentially clear. There's a little bit of a hint of blue left in there, but I am not going to worry about that. I think that's fine just as it is. And let's take a look at our yarn. Check that out. Look at that gorgeous breaking we got. I mean, that's just really pretty, isn't it? The blue and the purple. Oh, that is so lovely. All right, so now we just need to heat set this. I've got our first skein in the crock pot right now and it's heat setting. It's just been sitting in there. So as soon as that is done, then I will put this over in there. And then after it's heat set, I'll wash it, rinse it, knit up some swatches and show you all what we got. We'll be back. And here's our finished yarn. These didn't turn out too bad. We got breaking in both of them. Here's our first skein where it did not break the way we expected. Instead of having just blue on one end, purple on the other end, you know, and that gradient from that, we've got blue all throughout and mixed in with pink, and it's a very pastel color, but we did get blue broken out on its own. So yeah, we definitely broke it on this one. But then we've got our second skein, the non-Superwash, where I went back and looked to see what to do this better. And we got it to break exactly like we wanted it to. We've got our blue here at the top. We've got our purple down here. It is exactly how we want to break color. So yeah, it worked. And I find it really interesting that this blue is more of a teal than the light blue that you get when you break Wilton's violet. So apparently that color that we were seeing in the dye bath at the end, where it wasn't just that plain light blue, is because we had some yellow in there. So that would make it more of a teal. What do you think of them, Chad?
I think they turned out cool.
Yeah.
I prefer that. I don't know if I say prefer, but I like the non-traditional one better.
This one?
Yeah.
How come?
I just like the way the colors turned out. Mm-hmm. The other one is a very nice ombre, where it starts at one color and goes down to purple, whereas the first one is a mix.
And what is it that you like better about the mix than the...
I just prefer how it looks.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, would you like to see how they work up in a swatch?
Sure.
Okay.
What you got there?
This is our first one. I'll make a little bit of room between them. Okay, here's our first one, and this is how it works up. And yeah, like Chad said, we've got all the colors sort of, it mixes together to make more of an overall color. And then this is our second one, and with it, you get little stripes of blue.
Yep.
And that's because this section down here is blue and all the rest of this is purple. So you get the black,
the black.
So you get the purple background with little stripes of blue. And seeing them worked up, does that change your opinion?
No.
No?
No, I still like the other one better.
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that this one is more pastel and this one is darker? It's more saturated.
I mean, I would agree with that. I'm not sure what do I think by that.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
You have stated a fact.
Yep.
But do you think that impacts your...
It could be, but normally I steer away from pastel colors and towards the more vibrant colors. I think you'd agree.
Yeah.
But in this case, I like that one. Maybe, because it's almost entirely just almost different shades of gray in a certain manner of speaking.
I can see that. And this one is just, the only reason this one is pastel is because we used less dye than we did in this one.
It was half the amount?
Yes, we doubled our, if I remember correctly, yeah, I believe we doubled our amount of dye for this one, which is why we got the darker colors. And we did that because we saw that this one was so pastel. So, and yes, I did get a little bit aggressive in swishing this yarn around in the dye bath. I'm used to working with Superwash wool, and you can do that with Superwash. You can move it around in the dye bath, even a hot dye bath, and not really worry about felting it. I mean, you don't want to get too aggressive, too crazy or anything, but yeah, you don't have to worry about as much. Whereas with non-Superwash, that is exactly how you felt it. And I kept forgetting all throughout while doing this and dip dyeing this that don't swish it around in hot water. Luckily, it did not felt. I mean, we've got a little bit of sticking to itselfness, but it's not felted, and just simply winding this into a center pole ball will get all of these strands apart again. And obviously the fact that I was able to knit a swatch tells you it's not felted, and you can see I can stretch the swatch. It's fine. It's fine, but yeah, I'm gonna learn. I gotta learn to be more gentle with Superwash wool. But what do y'all think? Which one of these is your favorite? Do you have a favorite? Do you prefer one over the other, or no? And are there any other colors that you would like to see us try to break like this? Are there any others that you know of that break, either in food coloring or commercial acid dyes, because I'm willing to try with commercial acid dyes if you know of one that breaks. Anyway, I hope y'all had fun watching us dye this yarn. I hope the thunder wasn't too scary for you. Yes, we're looking at more thunderstorms tonight as well. All in all, I hope you had fun. If you did, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss anything that we try here. You have a wonderful day, and we will see you on our next adventure. Bye, everybody. Say bye, Chad.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.